Warm greetings from the high 10. It's Everyday Shenanigans, and thanks for joining me. It's the witching hour here in Tennessee. Early morning. New day, Monday. First day of the week. I'm going to bring you some very horrific information out of the state of Louisiana. Tracy, I want to thank you for reminding me of my post on my community page pertaining to this horrific crimes by a woman and her now ex-husband. She was a teacher and he was a deputy, I believe, sheriff. They are no longer married. She has just been handed down a sentence of 41 years in penitentiary, and the husband is expected to go to trial later this year. I bring you this story because I won't have any names of children to mention in the said commentary, and one has already pled guilty to the said crimes, so therefore I will bring this information only for that reason. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. U.S. News is the source. Former Louisiana teacher gets 41 years in sex crimes case. A former Louisiana teacher who pleaded guilty to tainting cupcakes with her husband's bodily fluids and feeding them to school children was sentenced Friday to 41 years in prison. A former Louisiana teacher who pleaded guilty to tainting cupcakes with her ex-husband's bodily fluids and feeding them to school children was sentenced Friday to 41 years in prison. Authorities said Cynthia Perkins committed the acts with her ex, Dennis Perkins, a former Livingston Parish Sheriff's lieutenant. She initially faced 150 felony charges, including rape, child pornography, sexual battery of a child, and video voyeurism stemming from a 2019 child pornography probe. Okay, thought there was more to that. Okay. On Monday, Cynthia Perkins, 36, agreed to a deal with prosecutors in the Louisiana Attorney General's office, pleading guilty to one count each of producing child pornography, second-degree rape, and mingling harmful substances. News outlets reported jury selection in her trial was to have started that day. Today, Cynthia Perkins admitted to her crimes and pled guilty in court. Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry said she not only waived any right to appeal and attempt to avoid conviction, but she also spared the victims from reliving her horrific crimes during this particular trial. The 41-year the 41-year sentence had been agreed upon in plea negotiations, her attorney said. As part of the deal, she will be required to testify against her ex-husband. Also, she will not be eligible for parole until she enters the 41st year of her sentence. Per the plea deal, Perkins had to agree to certain facts in the case, such as assisting her husband in the sexual assault of a juvenile, helping him film a juvenile while bathing, and lacing desserts with his semen before giving them to school-aged children. State District Judge Erica Sledge handed down the sentence after an hour of testimony from attorney Cynthia Perkins' family, Perkins herself, and the families of victims in the case. To the family of the victims, I can't imagine what this whole process has been like for you, Sledge told those in the courtroom Friday. To the juvenile victim, I hope this has given her some sense of closure. Perkins voiced a lengthy apology to the victims, her friends, and family before the sentencing. I would also like to apologize to my 3 children. I haven't spoken to them in 3 years. I love them and I miss them, and I'm sorry, Perkins said. But one of her children, born during her first marriage, described her in a letter to the court as horrible and manipulative mother. My life is so much better without you, the letter read. Meanwhile, Dennis Perkins, 46, is expected to go to trial later this year. Cynthia Perkins' attorney said she was manipulated by him into committing child sex crimes. They also called Dennis Perkins the mastermind behind the couple's criminal activity. This is with also the Associated Press. U.S. News is the source. This is a very sick situation coming out of Louisiana. Cynthia Perkins, 36, former school teacher, accused of filming a child, her husband bathing a child, voyeurism, just on and on. It's crazy nonsense. helping him film a juvenile while bathing, lacing desserts with his semen before giving them to school-aged children. So now the ultimate question that most people are probably wondering, how old were the children that she gave cupcakes with the semen in it? How in the world did that information even come to fruition? This is ignorant. Why in the world, one, are you messing with other people's children, filming other people's children, touching other folks' children, watching your husband do whatever he did to the child, and then you would go put his semen in the children's cupcakes to take to school? This is ridiculous. I'm going to play you audio from the news and another doctor's commentary pertaining to the said information. I hope he doesn't mind me playing his information. This is there are no words for what I just repeated. No words. And I hope I can remember everything to say when I'm done with the said information. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $BigAngie 129 Cash App. All super chats are welcome during the live. Thank you so very much for tuning in. This is from this information I'm bringing you via audio. Is in the YouTube queue if you want to verify the said information, and is also posted to my community page. Thank you all so much for joining me. Oh, Lord help me, Jesus. This is content uploaded from 2 years ago when this case jumped off. WWL-TV is the source. Channel 4 News. Hold on.
Were you recently injured in a car accident?
Sorry about that, you guys. Those darn commercials.
With bodily fluids. This is according to our partners at WBRZ. They also say that this investigation is connected to a case involving sex with children, and it involves the two people on your screen right now. Cynthia Perkins was arrested nearly 2 weeks ago with her husband, Dennis Perkins, who, by the way, is a Livingston Parish Sheriff's deputy. The two were picked up for child pornography, rape, and obscenity. Parents were told about this investigation into the baked goods just last week, and both Cynthia and Dennis have lost their jobs since those arrests.
Okay, that was short and sweet. Well, as you see, this is content from 2 years ago. So once they got arrested, both individuals lost their employment. She was a school teacher and he was a lieutenant, from the information that I brought to you, and they are no longer married. I don't know if they divorced during the proceedings against them at the time, but I do believe she's been married 2 times, because as I read to you commentary from U.S. News, one of the children from the first marriage said that she was a horrible mother, manipulative. Doesn't shock me in the least. Doesn't shock the queen at all. That's source number 2. 1 second, trying to get all my goodies lined up. Okay. Fox 26 is the source of the third information I'm bringing to you pertaining to this ridiculous case. Sickening, disgusting, vile, inhumane, disrespectful to children. And the sick part of the story is this heifer was married with children. Put that on paper. Married with children, her own children, and also somebody's school teacher. Let me say it again. Married with her own biological children and also a school teacher.
Absolutely disgusting case in Louisiana. An ex-teacher has pleaded guilty to crimes against children, which included putting her husband's sperm in cupcakes that were given to children to eat in her classroom. Cynthia Perkins, you see her there, cut a deal that will have her testifying against her ex-husband, the man you see there, Dennis Perkins, a former Livingston Parish deputy sheriff in Louisiana. That's close to Baton Rouge. He's also charged with dozens of sex crimes, including child porn and rape. Tonight, I speak with WBRZ TV investigative reporter Chris Nakamoto in my hometown of Baton Rouge. He's one of the best in the business, and he's talking about this disturbing story. He's been following this since it broke back in 2019. Man, I'm sure, Chris, when you saw the details of this case, you had to shake your damn head.
Well, thank you for the kind words, first of all. It was an alarming case for sure. This all started in December of 2019 when these two individuals, a deputy in Livingston Parish and his teacher wife, who was a middle school teacher, got caught by Adobe. They were photoshopping things. Adobe turned them into authorities in Louisiana, which launched an investigation. Authorities with the Attorney General's office showed up at the couple's house. They found this safe full of hard drives, computers, thumb drives, things like that. And all of it was encrypted with a software called Keep My Data Safe. And so essentially they had to come in and decode everything. And when they decoded everything, they were alarmed at what they saw. They saw child porn. They saw child rape. They also saw what appeared to be this deputy who was ejaculating on sweets that were then being served to his wife's class.
My God. So do we know if any of the children were actual students or relatives, or were these just videos that they collected off of the internet?
So according to the court documents that we have, the kids that were served the sweets were definitely students in her class. They photoshopped apparently the kids' photos, and they had pictures of the children eating the sweets, the cupcakes that he had ejaculated on. In terms of the actual victims that were raped by these individuals, we're told that they possibly were some of their close associates or people that they knew.
Wow, just mind-blowing. She's a teacher, and of course, he is a former deputy, and she's a former teacher. I think they're estranged now, right? They've divorced?
So she divorced him, and, if it gives you any indication of what their plan of attack is, they immediately filed for divorce. She actually just struck a plea deal with some of the prosecutors here. So she now has to testify against him at trial, and she has agreed to do that in exchange for what some people in this area are calling a light sentence. She'll probably do about 40 years and will probably be eligible for good time, so maybe 20 years. So we'll see what happens. What's really interesting about this case is these are the people that you teach your children to trust. You teach your children to trust law enforcement. You teach them to trust their teacher and to think that they can do something as sick and twisted as this. I mean, it really just has this whole community in utter shock.
Exactly, and you're exactly right. They're supposed to be the best of us, our educators, our law enforcement officers, and they went really bad, just mind-blowing. Now, what's the status in his case? Where does he stand, Dennis Perkins, the former deputy?
So he is scheduled to go to trial sometime this summer. I'm told that they have some evidentiary issues that they're now trying to work through. We had exposed not long ago that a couple of hard drives that were seized out of that safe in their house are now missing. So the million-dollar question is, where are those hard drives? Did the Attorney General's office misplace it? Did the Sheriff's office misplace it? And so if that is the case, that raises questions about what is the chain of custody for some of these other pieces of evidence that were collected? So it's a valid question that's probably going to be brought up before trial. The Attorney General's office says they don't have any missing hard drives, but there are two hard drives that were labeled and processed, taken in as evidence, that are now gone.
Wow.
Parents there must be heartbroken when they found out about this, and especially those parents who had students in the classroom with Cynthia Perkins, the teacher.
Oh, 100%. Can you imagine getting a phone call saying, your child is photographed? We believe there's a picture of your child in the safe of their teacher with their deputy husband ejaculating on cupcakes, and we believe that your child ate it. And so if you can only imagine the shock that these parents, had to deal with, I think they identified at least 12 kids that ate those tainted cupcakes.
Wow. Just mind-blowing that this has occurred in Livingston Parish, Louisiana. He is no longer a deputy there. She is no longer a teacher. And as they say, they should both be put under the damn jail. Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ in Baton Rouge. Thank you, sir, for giving us some expertise and shining light on this. This is just disgusting. Thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight.
Fox 26 Houston is the source of that sad information. I'm bringing you content out of the YouTube queue. If you need verification, I've brought you U.S. news and this Fox 26 news pertaining to this baffling and disturbing, bizarre information pertaining to two disgusting, vile beasts who violated children, filmed children. I'm assuming sexual assault as well. And WWL-TV News 4 is another source I brought you. Pertaining to this case, I'm going to make sure I brought all the said information to you all pertaining to this riveting case, because it's there are no words for what has been done to these children. It's one thing to have predominantly men sexually assaulting children, voyeurism, on and on, but to have a woman ride the ride alongside a male is very baffling. But that has happened in many cases with rape. Men who have killed women. There was a woman counterpart. We've seen that with men who've kidnapped children, held them hostage. We've seen that. I can't remember the case, but there was a case out of California. There have been many cases. The one case of the young lady who was able to notify authorities one day when she's out on a outing with the family. I think most of you know who I'm talking about. I can't think of her name right now, but there was a woman involved in that case as well, with the husband kidnapping the child and then walking around the town with the little girl. Just utter nonsense. There's also a case out of Canada that's a famous case of a woman going along with a man raping women. As you see, there are no boundaries anymore. There's no more just a man committing crimes by himself. He has to invite along female counterpart. And perhaps this is also the same situation with the case of Camille McKinney out of Birmingham, Alabama. That is a case that is stemming with two individuals who are a woman and a female who both willingly kidnapped a girl child out of the Tom Brown housing development and enacted sexual crimes with the said child, drugged the child, killed the child, and dumped the child in a dumpster. And the woman told the information of where the child could be located. And I'm waiting for that trial to commence so I can bring that sad information. Oh, mercy. I guess staying on topic is hard for some people. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to bring you information by Dr. Rashad Ritchie. And I hope he doesn't mind me playing his content pertaining to this. This is for educational purposes only. And this is pertaining to this case that I'm speaking of. This was uploaded 3 days ago in the queue. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.
And disgusting teacher and cop you will ever see in your natural life. Let's put up a mug shot. She's pleaded guilty because she's a monster. What did this teacher do? She has pleaded guilty to disturbing child sex crimes, including lacing cupcakes with her husband's sperm, and he was down with it, by the way, before feeding them to her students. That's the husband. He's a former deputy sheriff. Cynthia Perkins, let's go back to her. Cynthia Perkins, 36 years of age, is facing 41 years in prison after taking a plea deal on Monday in exchange for testifying against her now ex-husband, Dennis Perkins. This has a long and twisted, dark history. Mr. Perkins, the deputy sheriff, was working at the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, all right, at the time of his arrest. The Louisiana woman initially protested her innocence to 72 charges for various sex crimes, yet this week pleaded guilty to producing child pornography, second-degree rape, and mingling harmful substances. The charge about harmful substances allegedly refers to an incident in which this sick woman used her husband's sperm to season pastries for Westside Junior High School students. Listen, I know this story is a hard story to listen to. I'm highlighting this story because parents in particular, we need to always be reminded that real monsters exist in the world.
Yes.
These are two of them. The story gets even deeper. These three we thought were representative of what she had done, and by agreeing to the facts as we put them out on record, she prepared herself to testify against Dennis Perkins. That's according to the Assistant Louisiana Attorney General, Barry Milligan. Barry said that on Monday. Cynthia and Dennis Perkins were arrested in October 2019. They faced 150 felony charges, including rape, child pornography, sexual battery of a child, and video voyeurism. There were also charges related to a dog, according to Daily Star. So Cynthia files for divorce. So you have the wife, she files for divorce and resigned from her role as a high school teacher. They allowed her to resign
high school
rather
teacher.
than making an example of her.
Finally get the information.
She claimed she was manipulated by her then husband to commit the horrible crimes. Oh, I'm the victim here, was her story. WBRZ reports Dennis Perkins was fired from the sheriff's department after the charges were brought. Now remember, they were under investigation, then the charges hit, and that's when they started losing and resigning from their jobs. So Cynthia Perkins was scheduled to face a trial by jury on Monday, which means the victims, these minors, which by the way are under 13 years of age, would have had to testify in the court of law. She was facing 72 years in prison. However, 68 of the remaining charges against her were dropped when she took a plea deal. She was given 40 years for second-degree rape, 30 years concurrent for sex crimes involving a juvenile under 13. That horrible human being will die in prison. Sperm-laced cupcakes. Incident hit her with 1 year sentence, all right? She got 1 year for that one. She has no possibility of parole after taking the deal, according to the Attorney General of the state. He said, and I quote, "Today, Cynthia Perkins admitted to her crimes and pled guilty in court." The AG further noted, she not only waived any right to appeal and attempt to avoid conviction, but she also spared the victims, talking about the children, from reliving her horrific crimes during this particular trial. Conviction is in the best interest of our victims and justice. We look forward to holding Dennis Perkins, the cop, accountable for his crimes in the very near future, because Dennis Perkins has pleaded not guilty.
Wow.
Which means if he goes to trial, and his wife has already agreed to testify against him, his ex-wife, he goes to trial, those children, by law, they have to take the stand because he has a constitutional right
Oh, mercy.
to approach those that accuse him. Yet they eventually agreed to a deal, which was also okayed by the victim's family, talking about the ex-wife. They feel that this serves justice and better protects their children, said the Attorney General. If the victim's family, if they are okay with this, that's cool. You always look to that, okay? Now, let's keep it all the way 100. Routinely, individuals who are monsters and perverts against our children in particular, they seek opportunities to affix their lives around children. They also look for opportunities to have public trust, so that if there's an accusation against them, people in the community will say, oh, no, never that person. I mean, that's an upstanding deputy sheriff.
Right.
That's an award-winning school teacher. They're monsters all along. And let's be real. They have the complexion for protection. According to the narrative, they've been doing this for years and getting away with it. They're sick, and what they're getting, they don't deserve. They don't deserve the light sentencing of life in prison or to die behind bars, the way they victimize children. Now, these victims, they're going to have to go through counseling, years of torment, years of pain. I'm hopeful that whatever comes out of this, as it relates to a settlement, as it relates to a lawsuit, that they are able to get the wraparound services they need because they were victimized by these two individuals who were paid by taxpayers. David, what are your thoughts about this case?
I'm just horrified, and you took the words, I mean, literally. My concern is, look, clearly these are monsters. Clearly these are despicable people. I hope they are locked up. I agree that this seems like a light sentence. My concern in hearing this is for the kids. I mean, what is Louisiana, which is not known for being particularly good in trying to provide counseling and trying to help victims of crime, particularly if they're minorities? I mean, what are they doing for these kids to try to help them? I mean, that's where all of the focus and the resources in Louisiana should be. Throw away the key on these two jerks. But the kids, I mean, what are you doing to talk to them? How are you explaining this to them? What are you doing to make them somehow feel better? And again, I'm shocked also, just 1 year for the cupcake. I mean, can you imagine if a kid had done the reverse to a white teacher?
Yeah.
You think that kid would have gotten away with just a year, maybe? No, that kid would have been sent to juvenile detention for a long time. So none of this makes much sense to me. And I just pray that there are people who are looking after those kids.
You got to remember, David, these people are psychopaths. I mean, this is textbook definition psychopathic behavior. One was a school teacher, the other was a cop. All right? Sit on that for a minute.
So true. Indisputable with Dr. Rashad. I used your commentary this evening, sir, for educational purposes only, to bring forth the information pertaining to the allegations against Miss Perkins and Mr. Perkins, because, matter of fact, a lot of information that Dr. Rashad had, I did not have in the U.S. News information. Let me start with getting into the business of what has been alleged before I forget anything. Miss Perkins has already pled guilty on Monday. She's faced with 41 years. In his commentary, he's saying possibly 20 years good behavior. I don't know. But the article I brought you says she has to do all of 41 years. So I'm not rooting for 20 years good behavior, all of that. I don't really care. I want her to do every damn day because of what she did. She was, as you hear in this commentary by Dr. Rashad, that 68 of the charges were dropped naturally because she took the plea. She's not saying innocent, blah, blah, blah. She pled guilty. So naturally, when you take a plea, charges are usually dropped. She's also has to testify against her ex-husband. What the fuck were you thinking, lady? Why would you even do these things with this man? I don't want to hear this bullshit about you were manipulated into doing, these acts. You don't like kids. You don't care for kids in that manner. So why would you go along with it? You have children, which makes no sense. So now we have to ask the ultimate question. Have you assaulted your children sexually? Have you allowed this man or any other men to assault your children sexually? Information was brought forward that one of your children from your first marriage is glad to be away from you, that you were a horrible, manipulative mother. Then we have to ask ourselves that question. How many people knew she was a horrible, manipulative mother and didn't say any damn thing? How about the first husband? Did you know your wife was mean to the children? You allowed it? What? Yeah, I go there. I'm crunk now. Everybody sits by blindly, seeing signs that people are not right. And yet you laugh it off. He. Oh, that's just his way. That's just her way. Blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit. Now, in your mind, you may have said, oh, he's not a great dad. She's not a great mom. But you weren't thinking that possibly they were touching kids, looking at kids, taking pictures of kids, got porn on hard drives, blah, 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 blah. Who wants to think that? Nobody. You don't think it until somebody brings forth evidence. But lady, you're guilty as your husband. You rode the ride with Mr. Perkins. You are just as dirty and slimy and grimy. And the fact that you would stand in court and say you miss your fucking kids, you miss your kids? How do you miss your kids? You didn't think about your kids when you're sitting here assaulting another child. So you didn't think that that child had a mom and daddy. You didn't think it was wrong for you to be sitting here putting sperm in a damn cupcake batter? Because I'm assuming that's how you did it. Hello? Or he ejaculated on the damn cupcakes and you let it air dry. Whichsoever, it's disgusting and vile. But what bothers me the most about your ratchet ass is the fact that you have your own children. And you sat up in court and said you miss your kids. Well, exactly what is it that you miss about them, Cynthia? What do you miss about your children? Because one would have to say you were allegedly rearing children while you were aiding your husband to bathe and sexually assault another child under the age of 13, and then you're serving up nasty cupcakes with semen in it to your students. High school, middle school, whichever, doesn't matter. So at what point are you a good mother? At what point are you a good fit? Now we have to ask ourselves, how did you treat these children with this husband? I'm assuming this is your second marriage, because your first child is saying they're glad they're away from you. So how did you treat your other set of children? 2, I'm assuming. It says you have 3 children. Now we have to ask also, who's the child in the case that you sexually assaulted alongside your husband? A friend's child, relative's child. Who's the child? This commentary says that the child's in close proximity to you. So, whose child was it, Cynthia? It was also mentioned about hard drives missing in the other commentary I played. So now we have to ask ourselves, he worked for the sheriff's department. I'm assuming it's the same sheriff's department that took him in. You all hid those hard drives, you nasty sheriff's department. Yeah, I'm calling y'all ass out too. Where are they? So see, this is what makes no sense. Let's say, allegedly, one of you dirty sheriffs hid the drives and threw them out, whatsoever. He still got fired. He still got fired, Bubba. And she got fired, Bubba. And she is going to testify against her husband in court, Bubba. So what was the point of hiding and or discarding the hard drives? Nothing. Now we have Mr. Perkins, the dirty buzzard, the grand poobah of this disgusting, vile situation alongside his wife. He has the nerve to say he's going to plead not guilty. Well, let me think about that for a second. Mr. Perkins, are you pleading not guilty because you think they discarded those drives? They don't have any evidentiary material against you? Well, we have the victim, fool. We have the victim. And as Dr. Rashad has said, the fact that you're sitting here saying you're innocent, well, then now a child, sadly, will have to come to court and testify against you and relive whatever it is you and your wife done to her. Did you forget about that part? And whatever else evidence that the state has besides the missing hard drives. You are a piece of work. Mr. Perkins, when they fired you, did you ask them why they fired you, sir? Since you're innocent and your plea to the court is not guilty for the said charges, I just want to ask you something. It's the queen talking. Well, sir, did you ask your superiors, hey, Why are you firing me? What did I do wrong? Well, sir, you're coming up on the charges of blah, 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 blah against said kids. No, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. Well, I'll be damned. I'm going to fire you anyway. Got to go. Your wife just took a plea last week, sir. So you don't think that's not going to weigh in when it's time for you to go to trial, that your wife took a plea for said charges, aiding you in the assault of a 13-year-old child under the age of 13, gathering your semen to put in cupcakes to give her students, voyeurism, child porn, on and on and on. Why would I plead guilty and then take a plea guilty? 41 years I got to sit up in a damn jail because I'm stupid and a sicko wacko. And you think 12 members are going to sit in the courtroom and say, she's making that up. Oh, the kid's making that up too. Plus whatever evidence the state has against you and your dirty wife. Okay. My. What kind of world are we living in? Mr. Perkins, do yourself a favor. Just take the plea. You're already an older person, approaching middle age. You're about 10 years older than your wife. I think you're 46 years of age. She's 36, so that means you met her younger than you. Take the damn plea, and hopefully one day, if the courts, the judicial system is kind, the prison system, they'll say to themselves, well, he's been a good boy. We're going to let him do about 40 years, which you'll be 76 or older. We'll let you out of here so you can go crawl somewhere and die in a hole. Outside hole. Did you hear that part? Because 9 times out of 10, you'll probably die in prison before going up for parole. If you're even granted parole, stay woke. And the fact that you are so ornery and narcissistic to go before the court and say, I'm not guilty. You should know damn well they've talked to the child. That's the reason your ass is in there, because the child told it. Mimi, calm down. Why, sir, are you saying you're not guilty when you know the child is the reason you're in there? She had to have spoken and said what you did to her. And obviously, you all took pictures. They're saying there's things about screenshots, photographs, all type of nonsense that I really am not clear on all of what you all done with photographs, this and that. But you two are sinister. You two are what's wrong with the world. Exactly. Two heathens evenly meshed, evenly yoked in chaos and sickness. Because I don't know how any woman or man can allow another person to talk them into sexually assaulting a child. How do you wake up one day and say to yourself, yes, I'm going to sexually assault a child. I'm going to indulge myself in child pornography, take pictures of children, dox children pictures. What the fuck is wrong with you, lady? You have children of your own. So I'm going to go back into the book of life and wonder how you treated your children. Because one child's already spoke before the court. She don't like you. That you were manipulative. And she's glad to be away from you. So now we have to ask ourselves, how did you treat the other 2 children? Because we do know about you nasty beasts. Some of you favor your other children over children, which is a no-no. in the mommy and daddy book. Never favor your kids. It's disgusting behavior. So what I have to ask myself, if you're nasty to this one, how did you treat the other two? I hope you don't even make it to prison. Meaning, there'll probably be other people on the bus carrying your ass to the prison. And it ain't that I want to wish them any death, because I don't know what all they could have done on the bus. But I would hope a terrible accident would happen, but then that means the driver would also have to be in a damn accident. I don't care what happens to you. You don't even deserve to sit in there the 41 years. Your ass deserves to be just stoned to death. I said it. It's my opinion. And that's the Christian side of me talking. Because I'm a human being first, before I'm anything. And I'm sick of this wasting money on these people. But the scripture says thou shalt not kill. But hey, as I said, I'm human. And man is the one who decided that we have the death penalty. Are you lucky you're not somewhere where they want to give you the damn death penalty? The only reason why you probably get the death penalty is because the little girl is still a damn alive. And the kids are alive. You are a piece of work. You and your husband. And then your husband has the nerve to sit in court tonight. I am pleading not guilty. It wasn't me. Lord have mercy. I'm done. God help us all. Every day, children are beat, abused, favored, neglected, sexually assaulted, murdered by people that people think are nice. That's my friend. That's my brother. That's my sister. My daddy, my mommy, they wouldn't do such a thing. We have heard the countless stories of children being molested and sexually assaulted by so-called great people. There's no such thing. He wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that. Well, then how the fuck are they on the news then if they didn't do it? Priests, pastors, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, grandparents are sexual sadists. Because 9 times out of 10, they were sexually abused themselves. And that is the cruel part of sexual assault. It's that usually perpetrators were abused as children. It's not to make an excuse, but it is a statistic. And they don't get help. They're holding on to the memories of being sexually assaulted, so they enact what was done to them. It's what becomes the norm, perhaps, for some of them. Perhaps some of them do enjoy sexual assaulting children. But the point is, without any help or realizing, hey, what I've done is wrong, that it's not right to be touching a child, that it's not right for a child to be touching a child. I know this is wrong. I'm an adult touching a child. This is wrong. You will not be able to change your behavior if you don't realize that the behavior is wrong. And the fact that this piece of shit is sitting up here talking about, I am innocent. Well, sir, you better hope your wife falls down a flight of fucking stairs before your trial starts later this year. Because she is your witness, ting, 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 to testify against you. And the child that you assaulted, as Mr. Rashad said, Dr. Rashad, now the child has to come to court and testify. That's the reason why the stupid wife took a plea, so she wouldn't have to subject the child to testify. But because you're so narcissistic and honorary, oh, hell no. I don't want to tell them the truth. I don't want nobody believing I did this to no kid. I didn't do it. You're so evil, you're going to sit here and let this baby have to go through telling what you did to her. You're nasty. Pluck every fucking toenail off of you one by one. your fingernails, everything. I'm so disgusted right now I can scream. Excuse my manners. I'm disgusted. Thank you all for joining me. I played you several content pertaining to this vile case out of Louisiana. Cynthia Perkins, 36 years of age, has pled guilty, facing 41 years in the prison. She has to do all 41 years. She is going to testify against her husband. But because the husband now is saying he is not guilty, the child will have to testify, the one that they sexually assaulted. This is disgusting. Foul and disgusting. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Jesus, help me. One moment, please. 45 minutes in. God help us. Calm my nerves. This just makes me sick to my stomach. Thank you all for joining me. If you need verification for the information that I just played, go back to the beginning of this video and to my community page. The said information is there. It's in the YouTube queue. Thank you so much. And Dr. Rashad, I hope you don't mind me playing your commentary. It was for educational purposes only. Hold on one second, you guys. Well, love, the law says you cannot have any inhumane ways of death. That is the law. Now, some may feel that when we have the electric chair, that's an inhumane way to die. Now we have the lethal injection. So it is what it is. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, honey. How are you?
Hello.
I'm
good.
here.
How are you?
I'm fair. How
Oh,
are you
girl,
doing?
we got a lot to talk about.
All right.
This whole thing here just strikes a nerve with me. Really, a nerve.
Well, let's talk about her sentence. She has now 41 years in prison.
41 years. She don't deserve to go to. That ain't good enough.
Okay.
I think, considering the circumstances, the children, everything that's involved, prison's too good.
Yeah.
For them. I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm just going to give you my personal thoughts on it.
Okay.
I think they're to be freaking tied up and just beat to death for doing something like this. I'm sorry.
Amen.
I mean, because no child deserves that.
Yes, yes.
And now this baby's got to go into court.
See, that was the purpose of her her taking the plea, is to save the child, the humiliation and the just reliving all of that. And then also to save her own self. 41 years, she figures, well, I'll take a plea. Perhaps one day somebody will favor me kindly and maybe let me go. But the article I read says all of 41, not no 20, 25, None of that. But we know
Yeah.
man
I mean,
can
it's
say, change it. You understand what I'm saying? Anything can be changed so long as man is in control.
right, right. But the repercussion that is left on this child, and I guess the reason it kind of strikes hard with me because my best friend was molested and sexually assaulted 5 years from the age of 6 to about 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She's 53 and she's still messed up over it.
Really?
I mean, she's had to go to numerous years of counseling, and I don't think she'll ever get over it. This
Okay.
child's going to have to face the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That dealing with that trauma
Mm-hmm.
from all of it.
Okay, so let's start. We're going to go with her, and then we're going to go to the husband. What would possess you to aid the husband in sexual assault and watching whatever she did with him with the said child on the 13th, taking pictures of the children from the schoolhouse that she was aiding as a school teacher, putting semen in the cupcakes? Please give me your opinion.
That's a sick thing, a very sick thing. They're
it's not
very
funny.
demented.
You can't get it out without just like, what are we talking about here? Because your mind, see, this is why I don't like talking about stuff like this, because I don't want my mind wondering when, you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to think about how they did it. I don't want to think about, was it in the batter? I don't want to think about, was it when they were in the oven? I don't want to think about it, was it when she put them on the fucking counter to cool off? You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to think about none of it. But because you're so vile and disgusting and it's now national news, I don't got no choice but to sit here in my mind and say, well, when did he do it? How did they do it? And then he's denying all of these charges.
Right.
Man, I'm just...
all I can say is these are just two very demented people to do the things they've done.
Well, let's go here.
I mean, nobody in their right mind's going to do something like that.
She has children. Give me your opinion.
Truth be known, they could be doing some bad things to the children.
Right. She has 3 children. I believe the first one is from her first marriage, and that child spoke in court, gave a testimony that they're glad to be away from her and that she was a horrible and manipulative mother. I would like to know the age of that child because, see, where I have the problem is, how long were you married with that child in the household, and what the fuck was wrong with the father for allowing her to be this manipulative, horrible mother? So, when was she horrible and manipulative?
Right.
When daddy was around or daddy wasn't around. See where I'm going?
And then too, we don't know the age of the child, so they would have to know what those words mean. Old enough to know.
Yeah, if you're manipulative, you are pretty older to use that word.
Yeah.
I would assume.
That or you're very, very mature for your age.
Exactly. So imagine being a child, hearing these things about your mother, the other children as well, and going into court to tell the court, this ain't nothing new about this heifer. She been dirty. Shut your mouth, queen.
Yeah.
She been dirty. So as we said, I wonder, what has she been doing with her other children? Have you allowed other people to touch your children? Did you allow this nasty beast to touch the children that you had with him? Or were they from somebody else? How many kids did she have with the first marriage? Man, I'm telling you, I like to beat the brakes off this heifer. Do you hear me? Beat the brakes off of her.
I think a lot of us would.
Husband.
Well, I think if this was my child that they abused,
yeah,
they wouldn't have to worry about calling the law. They'd be calling the morgue because that's what they'd need.
Amen. Because, I've
I
always
would make
imagined,
that
and it's a terrible
arrangement.
thing to say, but you know how you watch a lot of movies and you sit back and think, could I ever be this sinister to do such a thing, take a life, kill a person, beat him to death, beat him half to death, just sit back and smoke a cigarette and call 911. I got a package for you. Would you like to please come pick it up? Do you understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
I mean, I had 3 children of my own, 2 daughters and a son. Now I've got 4 grandchildren.
Yes.
If somebody even thought about touching one of my children in that way, but I educated my children when they were little, as they were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody touches you here, touches you here, it ain't right. You let me know, you tell me, because it's wrong. They knew. So,
Tracy said, tied them to 2 horses and have them run in opposite directions. I'm dead.
well, that'll work too. We can do that. But if somebody would have done that to one of my kids, they better have their life right with God, because they're getting ready to go meet them.
I think that's going to be the next live I do after the one I have planned for tomorrow about going back to old ways, perhaps. Should we go back to the days of, and naturally a lot of African Americans were hung for things they did not do. I don't believe it. But the old ways was to hang a person in a town square, probably in other countries as well. Should we go back to the old ways, biblical ways of punishment?
Well, I mean, back in the old times, you had your trial, you was found guilty and hung the same day. Back in the Western times, that's how they done.
None of this extra money pulling plugs and covering the person's face that's got to pull the plug or administer the needle. I just think it's ridiculous because, I don't know the logistics of how it works with capital punishment, but I don't see the point in waiting 10, 15 years to kill a person on death row. I don't understand the point of that. What's the big deal? You have the drugs lined up, you make a date, set the date, set the person to pull the plug, the whatever, and just do it and be done with it.
Yeah, why let them sit there 10, 15 years?
It makes no sense because you're feeding them whatever logical reason you're going to give for why they're sitting there and mathematical reasons. The point is you're still feeding them, clothing them, making sure they're all right for 10, 15 years. Doesn't make any logical sense. You've already handed them death. So why do you want to prolong what they already know they're getting ready to face? Naturally, they're going to enjoy every moment of breathing because they don't want to die. And you've always heard that from most people who are facing the death penalty. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. They want to appeal to the governor, blah, blah, blah. But the point still remains. You're prolonging. But then I guess the flip side of it is, what if they got it wrong and they've got somebody on death row that possibly is innocent? So I understand that would be probably the best option for not putting them to death immediately, is perhaps you have the wrong person on death row.
Yeah, and it's happened.
Yes, true. Right, because we have a lot of people in jail who have been exonerated from false identification. There wasn't DNA at the time that they allegedly was accused of a crime. So that would be the only just reason, in my opinion, to keep a person on death row a couple of years if indeed he or she is not the culprit.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you something, Queen. Mm-hmm. Do you think, now this is what I think, but do you think if they brought back public hanging that the crime rate would go down?
No. We have death row already and the crime rate isn't down.
No, I mean, let's just forget about all that and just go back to the old way when they would hang you.
Listen. These people, their mindset is gone. So it doesn't matter if I'm going to be put to death later down the road or you hang me tomorrow when I walk out of court. They don't care. So if they don't care, it doesn't matter about the death sentence and or the time frame. I've already put in my mind that it doesn't even matter. Because think about that for a minute. Why would anyone want to sit in prison for a long time for killing somebody or sexual assault, rape, whatever, right? 2, you've been given now a death sentence. You know the death sentence is out there for you, whomever, if you commit a certain type of crimes. But yet you still go out there and kill people, torture people, serial killers, serial rapists, whatever. So I have made up in my mind they do not care. Because why would I, one, want to sit up in prison? Two, face the death penalty. You know that you can go to prison. You know you can go to the death chair, needle, whatever. Yet you still will go out here and do stuff. That shows me right there you don't care. People kill each other every fucking day. I mean, over the pettiest of stuff. And yet you still don't think you can die in prison, let alone get the electric chair. I mean, the needle. I keep on saying electric chair, but the needle to the arm. Because they don't care.
No, that's
See, we're trying to put logic behind, you know what I'm saying, somebody's sick. But there is no logic. That's the whole point. There's just no logic. There is no logic. And they just keep doing stuff. I sit here and think about the young people. You keep going out here murdering people because he looked at you. He hanging with this one and blah, blah, blah. Whatever the damn reason is, do you not know your ass gonna die in there? I'm going to tell you of something that struck me the other day. There's a case right now in Knoxville, Tennessee, of a young man who just went to court the other day facing another charge, whatever. And I realized I know him. I know of him, rather. I met him as a child. Okay? I knew of his mother. I hung around his mother briefly. So the thing that bothers me is the fact that what the hell happened that you're sitting here linked to 3 murders and missing people? What the fuck happened? You understand what I'm saying? I know that's him. I looked at his picture the other day on the news. I got the news notification. Then I went in and watched the news video. And I said, oh, that is him. He looks the same as he did as a teenager. He had really nice, dark, curly hair. I said, that's her son. I noticed her son. She had 3 boys. I'm trying to figure out what in the fuck happened to her child. He's her eldest child. Why are you killing these people? He's linked to like 3 people.
Wow.
So what I have to ask myself is, what the hell happened? Nice looking black guy. What happened? What happened that you're killing these people? You understand what I'm saying? Because I can't remember. I think 1's dead and maybe 2's missing or something like that. So in my mind, I don't know if it's drug related or what. But nonetheless, no matter what the scenario was at that time, why are you wanting to end your life killing these people? That's what my problem is. Why would you do it? That's why I'm telling you. These people have a mindset. They don't care at that time. Their reason for killing this person, people, it's not a logical reason naturally. But they do it anyway, knowing there's a chance they're going to possibly do a lot of time in penitentiary and or die in penitentiary and or get the death penalty. Meaning they don't care.
You know, with this particular woman here that we're discussing, when she goes to prison and they find out what she done, she may not live very long.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to address that because a lot of people say that in the chat, and it's not true. And I'm going to tell you why it's not true. People go to jail, and I think a lot of you really don't sit and think about this. People go to jail for heinous crimes every day, and they don't have any problems in prison. Think about it. How many people have actually gone to jail for being a serial killer, serial rapist, child molester, all that? You know damn well all of them are not kept in segregation. Because there's too many people in there facing the same crime. You want me to believe that all of them got separate cells by themselves? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're out in general population.
Yeah, there's no way I can have right now 10 child molesters go into the state prison within a week, and I'm going to give each one his own room or her own room. There's no way.
They might rough her up a little bit.
Well, they find out why you're there because the guards talk The inmates talk. So they know when you're coming into prison, they know what you've done. They've already got the 411 from the staff. Who's coming in, what time they're coming in, and what the charges are. Oh, they know. I've heard that. They talk. Jail is just like being free. They gossip, talk, have phones, access to information. They know everything that's going on in the street just like as if they were free.
Yeah, and I think though, if you come into prison, you know, I've heard. I don't have any personal experience, but I've heard the women's prisons are real tough.
Uh-huh.
You know, and if you go in there with that kind of charge, you know, and these women, majority of them got kids and families or whatever.
Yeah.
They might rough you up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, they may not kill you, but
Kung Fu Joe says they send sex offenders to their own part of the prison. Yes, I did read that once or watched a documentary where they had a separate part of the prison where it was just sexual offenders only in the pod or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never even been inside of a prison, so I couldn't tell you. But
well,
you know, you hear things.
Let's talk about the husband. The fact that he has pled not guilty.
I don't know what to think about the husband.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's in for
this year.
I think he's in for a rude awakening when it comes to the trial.
Yeah, I do. And what pisses me off is that he knows that child is going to have to go into court and look him or sit in there in that little box and testify. And that just lets me know that he's sinister and he's a narcissist, because I think he's going to look forward to seeing somebody he's assaulted sit in the courtroom and give their testimony according to what he and his wife done to the child. That lets me know right there he's just prolonging the inevitable. I'll go on and plead not guilty, hold out. You see what I'm saying? Get the satisfaction of looking at my victim sit in court crying. He wants that so he can get off.
But I think, you know, if this child has to come in that courtroom and give their testimony, that jury is going to have more sympathy toward that child, and that judge is too, than they are him.
Yeah. So how do you just wake up one day and say to somebody, hey, let's look at some kid porn. Hey, watch me touch this kid, take her a bath. And that's one of the allegations, is that he gave a child a bath and she watched.
Yeah, that ain't right.
Yeah. So then it says also from Dr. Rashad's commentary is that the victim is close to them. So now we have to ask ourselves, who is the victim?
You know, nobody should be bathing your children but you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just get to the straight of it. I mean, nobody should be seeing your child naked but you.
They're walking around in the jail, prison, which is soever, alive. So that means nobody handled them, because somebody in the chat said they should have handled them. Well, if they handled them, we'd be talking about another story. So let's say it was a friend, co-worker, whatever. I found out you touched my child. You see, they didn't do anything because they're incarcerated. But that's not to say you touch Billy Bob's child and he don't put something in you. You understand?
Yeah. I mean, that's just, this whole thing is just.
I know it's very sick. When I saw it the other day, I was going through the queue and I saw it come up. It might have been the day before yesterday. And I was like, what in the world am I looking at? This is just ridiculous. It's just inhumane. But you know what's sickening is that a man could talk a woman into assaulting another child or another woman, man. That's what's baffling to me, is that you would let your spouse, boyfriend, whomever, come to you and start talking that junk about touching someone, violating someone's, you know what I'm saying, civil liberties, and you would go along with it, which leads me to believe I can't just listen at that. He manipulated me bullshit. I just can't, because you know better. If you're not sexually attracted to children and or women, how can you say he manipulated me to take pictures, watch kiddie porn, or take pictures of children, or watch him molest a child. How do you fix your face to say that I was an innocent victim? I just went along with it because I didn't want him to do this to me. But I mean, you know, that throw all that old bullshit out there. Oh, he hits me. He's violent. Well, guess what? You should have left him before he decided to ask you to do something with a kid. You just can't keep making these excuses. Because that's what's been going on lately.
True.
Everybody's got excuses. Oh, he did this to me, did this to me. That's why I went along with this. So you just let somebody violate you anyway. Then they want to take it a step further and say, well, I like kiddie porn. I like kids. Will you watch? Take a picture, film me. All because, I'm scared of him. He's mean to me. He beats me up. So you done went from one evil to another. An evil that you ain't down with, allegedly. But you fear him, so I'm going to go along. No, you know what it is? You love that heathen.
You know, if she stood by and watched him do these things, she's just as guilty as he is.
Exactly. Let me see what's going on in this chat. Oh, Jesus, is always something. Hold on a minute, baby. Yeah, I know she's guilty. That's why she took the plea. She knew what she was doing. And she should have taken the plea. And I think he should take the plea as well. That's what I think.
know, but he's not going to. That's the bad part. It's like you said, he gets some kind of diabolical enjoyment out of sitting through this trial.
Right.
But you know,
it's a very it's once again another very disturbing situation of abuse of children, abuse of power. So let's go here. We have to now ask, how long was she married to the said man, a deputy? I'm still questioning the hard drive situation. I do believe some people in the sheriff department are dirty because they're missing. So how long was she married to him? Does she have children with him? Were they abusing their own children if she had children with him? Did she have custody of children from the first marriage living with him, which is whoever? Was he abusing those children? Because a child's a child. I don't see a person differentiating a child from a child, a girl child. Let's say, that's his preference, a girl child. He's not going to have a preference. So was he also abusing his own children with the said Miss Perkins? How long were they married? How many other children has he sexually assaulted? How many other children are we talking about that were filmed, watched? There's just so many questions.
Yeah. I mean, there's no telling what these children that was in the home was having to deal with.
Exactly. Because you already have testimony from the first child, from the first marriage that says the mother was horrific and manipulative. So I have to question the mother's demeanor with her other children. So this is very sickening.
Yeah, with the other two, let's say, not necessarily they were being sexually abused, but they could have been physically abused or emotionally abused.
Oh, exactly.
But who knows? They could have been too. We don't know.
If you'd like to join the panel, please hit the link. The panel is open to anyone else who would like to give their commentary. I'm already 1 hour and 13 minutes into this live. This is bad. This is really bad because the thought of the child having to testify what he and this lady did to him, this female rather, did to her is baffling. Now we have to ask ourselves, how many more children have they done these behaviors, sex crimes with?
It is sad that we live in a world where things like this happen to children.
This is true, but it goes on all the time, and that's the sick part of the story, is that there are many children, women, men, abused every day, sexually assaulted every day, and some tell and some don't. That's the gist of the story.
It's just all I can do is pray for this child that they will have the strength to do what needs to be done.
Okay. Lord have mercy.
That's where my heart is with this child having to deal with that.
Right.
I don't care. Really, they're going to prison. That's a given. But this child is going to have to live with this trauma for a
Right.
long time. And that's a lot for a child.
And then we have to worry about her behavior, because we have learned that children who have engaged in sexual acts with grown-ups tend to be risque growing up, also indulging in sexual acts with other children and or adults. So see, it carves out more mischief and mayhem for young children.
It almost sets the pattern in motion.
Yes, it does. Oh, Lord have mercy.
But hopefully this child can get the therapy and the help that they need to break the cycle.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh man, I just was, when I saw it in the queue, I said, first I just was saying to myself, nah, this can't be real. You know what I mean? Nah, this can't be real. The semen thing got me more than just the sexual assault. I guess because you hear that all the time, people messing with children, of course. But the fact that you would take cupcakes to your students with your husband's semen in the cupcakes on it, whatever. I mean,
that's just taking it to a whole nother level.
A whole nother level. That is. And it's not to downplay being sexually assaulted as a child, but I had never heard of this.
That's a new one.
Yeah, that's a new one. That's a new one. Could it be that she's tired of being the teacher? Tired of her students? Let's say they were high school students. Tired of these kids and getting them a nerve, blah, blah, blah. Because I thought about that when Dr. Rashad, I do believe he said they were in high school. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it. But let's just say they were high school students, right? She's tired of being a teacher. She's tired of dealing with the kids, let's say. She comes home complaining to him. These MFs getting on my nerve, blah, blah, blah. So he said, hey, I'd come on their cupcakes. You see where I'm going?
Yep.
And he did it.
It kind of shows you how twisted she is for that to have happened and her take it to children or young people.
Yeah.
And give it to them.
Yeah.
It's a whole new level here.
Because I'm betting you, because this is just what my mind is telling me. My discerning spirit is telling me. I bet you she's complained about her students. And he said, how about I come on the cupcakes? Let's make them some cupcakes and take it to them. Take it to school tomorrow. I bet you. I bet you she said something about those kids. And he said he came up with the bright idea. I'll come on the cupcakes.
Oh, God.
I just, there are no words. There are no words. But then the flip side of that is, how do you go from one to the other? He's a sadist. You're also a sadist because you're participating. You can't say that you're not. Of him bathing that girl and or taking pictures, filming, whatever he did to the kid. So you're just as nasty, even if he didn't come on the cupcakes.
I'll never eat another cupcake again.
Well, there's probably lots of things that's done to our food that we don't know about.
Oh, God. I don't even want to think about it.
But you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
There's probably all types of buffoonery that goes on behind the window at the Burger King, McDonald's, restaurants, probably even fine establishments. You don't know because you're not there to see what they're doing to the food.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, you hear stories.
Yes.
That's for sure. But yeah, this, it's bad. Yeah, hearing this thing about the cupcakes, that just takes it up to a level I can't even comprehend.
Yeah, because to me, he's already diabolical. She's diabolical. So it could be either or. It could just be because they're sicko wackos. Let's do something sexual to the food. And to, hey, I'm sick of these kids, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, come on. Let me come on it. And she takes it to the schoolhouse. And then she filmed it. Oh, I left that part out.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I left that part out. They have pictures of the kids eating the cupcakes.
That's just all kinds of nastiness.
Yeah.
But get this, here's something to think about. What if this man, let's just use this scenario.
Yeah.
Talking about these cupcakes and what he done to these cupcakes.
Okay.
Let's say this man had AIDS.
Don't start.
And he did that to the cupcakes, and now these kids have been exposed.
Yeah, especially if you swallowed it, because that's the only way. Because that has been mentioned with oral sex. In order to get HIV/AIDS, you would have to swallow, blood, semen, get it directly in contact of your mouth or a cut. Sweet Jesus.
I mean, not saying he does, but
Tracy says it probably turned him on to watch them eat it.
Oh, God.
Maybe.
That is about as sick as you can get.
Oh, yeah, you're very sick. You're very sick. It's one thing to put marijuana in the cupcakes, but semen, come on now.
Yeah, that's beyond disgusting.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I pray that when it's time for him to go to court, that he will change his mind and take a plea. To end this, I don't want the child having to testify. That's my only concern.
What about the young people?
Say what, sweetheart?
What about the young people that ate the cupcakes?
Yes, we'll go. Well, let's discuss that. It was a few kids. I don't think it was a whole lot. It was a few kids that ate the cupcakes, from my understanding. And I do not know what came of that. I don't think there's anything that can come of it. These two are now in jail, so it is what it is.
I mean,
who are you going to sue? School board?
Would they have a play in the trial?
They can only if they call them and recognize their photos in the said pictures, video, or whatever.
Yeah. Because this is an act that was made toward them.
Yes.
So I think they'd be justified to be pulled into the trial.
Yeah, if they want to testify, though. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Would they want to testify?
Yeah, I don't know. Young people, I don't know if they'd want to get up there and say, yeah I ate this cupcake. And,
yeah, that's right. Because now you got it. See, let's just keep it real. We already know who the perpetrators are. So therefore, anybody that had her class during that time knew they had a chance of eating the cupcakes. Come on. You understand? Yeah. Your teacher's been arrested for sex crimes. That comes out about the cupcake. You know you were in the class, so you know there's a chance you ate one of the cupcakes. If you know you ate the cupcake, then you know you ate it. If you was in there with other people eating it, you know who ate it.
Exactly.
Rag says, so if they have a life-threatening STD, that could be considered attempted murder. Yes.
That's true.
Yes. If that was hepatitis, herpes, and or HIV/AIDS. Lord have mercy.
So, if they did have one of these life-threatening STDs, yeah, that'd be considered attempted murder.
Yes.
There's another charge.
But we also know that a lot of people don't get a lot of time for even infecting people with diseases. You know that.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, how much time will the jury give him if they find Mr. Perkins guilty, the father, the husband of this woman, ex-husband, because they are no longer married? What will the jury say?
I think considering there was a child involved, I think he may get the max.
Yeah, and other children too.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about devices, porn, all that, those each picture, video runs its own charge. So let's say you downloaded 500 images. That's a charge per image.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think considering the circumstances, not just this one particular child, but perhaps many, then the pornography, photos, whatever else, he'll get the max. Because that jury's going to show them children more sympathy than they are him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I take from it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the jury's going to let him off too lightly.
No, and I think the consideration of the child, pictures, videos, whatever they have, and whatever documentation they have on their devices, the fact that the wife is also going to testify, that's going to ring him in. So him pleading not guilty doesn't mean anything, because what a person has to say to themselves, you're pleading not guilty, so why would your wife plead guilty? She pleaded guilty because she knows what she did was wrong. So nobody's going to believe you weren't a part of this, that you orchestrated all of these crimes and she went along with you. So he's really a big fool, because somebody's going to say, well, why is your wife testifying against you, sir, if you haven't done anything?
She was smart by taking the plea deal.
Yeah, but you know what? She knew. I'm not going to sit here and let 12 members find me guilty on all the... Honey, she was facing over 150 charges.
Yeah.
Didn't I tell you they were dropped when she took the plea, some of them?
So...
You got to remember what I said. Every picture, video is a individual charge.
Yeah, so she was smart. She took the plea deal to get the easy way out. And he didn't. He just, he thinks he's going to get off lightly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was a cop or something, ain't it?
Yeah, he worked in the sheriff's department, I think. Lieutenant something.
Yeah, he was kind of high up on the ranks, so he's probably thinking...
She already pled. Listen, she already pled. Took a plea. It's over with. She took the plea last Monday. It's a done deal. And they gave it to her. The state didn't have to. The state can refuse a plea.
Yeah.
Such as any case dealing with death, murder, they can say no. No.
They offered it and she took it.
Mm-hmm.
To get a lesser sentence.
Well, I think her lawyer probably told her this is all they're going to offer unless you want to go to trial. And he or she had to have told her what her chances would be, depending on the evidence, of how the jury could weigh in if you're found guilty. And my thing is, if you were offered 41, that means if you went to trial, you would have been offered more than the 41. It's common sense.
Exactly. You could be offered 100 or better.
Yeah. You're talking about 150 said charges. So, you would have got life.
Yeah.
Gotten life.
With no parole, probably.
Mm-hmm. Well, she has to do the 41 off the top. So that's why I'm not entertaining nothing about 20 years, 15, all that. That doesn't mean anything to me. If the article says she has to do, it said she is considered for parole during the 41st year of her sentence. So that's good for me.
Well, I think,
I don't argue that extra stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think with this man's case, considering he's going to jury trial, they're going to see all this stuff. He'll get life. If they're smart, they'll do life without possibility of parole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that may be what he's looking at.
Well,
I would think.
It shows you he doesn't care about anything. The fact that he would walk into a court and give a not guilty plea. And I think he thinks he's getting off because, one, he thinks the child won't testify. Two, that those hard drives are missing from the evidence room. He thinks he's scot clear. That shows you he's an A1 narcissist.
Now, could they do a situation? No, we don't know how old this child is. But could they do
13.
Okay, could they do a situation where the child would come in, give their testimony, it just be the lawyers, the jury, the judge, and he not be in there?
They probably could do it via video in another room, probably, if the child felt threatened,
Because they're going to be scared to tell.
Yeah, with him in the room, yes.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, would that be a possible scenario for this? Maybe in a video, maybe have him in a different room, or, maybe not have him in the courtroom while she's giving her testimony.
Yeah.
So she doesn't feel that fear.
Right. I don't know. Just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to turn out.
Yeah. Wow.
I've heard in some circumstances that, the judge will talk to the child first in private chambers. And then they'll go into the court. I've heard of that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Too. But we won't know until this trial takes place. But this was like probably a young child that maybe they did that with. I don't know.
Under 13.
Yeah. But it's a very sick thing when two adults would do things like this to a young child or young people. With the things they did to this child and then the things they did to these students.
Mm-hmm.
They're just mental. There's no help for these people at all. I don't think prison would even change their ways of thinking.
But that's why I say that's why people do what they want anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get your head wrapped around something like this because it's so out there that you're like, people actually do these kind of sick things to children and our young people at school, at a school. But this is why I'm glad I don't have any school-age children anymore. But what do you do? It's the world we live in, unfortunately.
Right.
But Queen, it was good coming on, visiting with you. Even though it's something, this controversial. Well, not controversial, but this sick. Let's just say that.
Very sick. It's very sick.
Yeah. But other than that, I hope you've been doing well.
I've been doing well, and thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you came up and spoke. When I get more information, I will bring you an update and put it in the on the community page.
Yeah, I'm kind of anxious to see how this is going to go.
Yeah, he's expected to go to trial later this year, they said.
Yeah. All we can do is pray for this young person
Yes,
that's
and
going
the
to
other
have to go to
children
court.
too, because I'm sure they
Yeah.
feel some type of way. Those who know that they ate the cupcakes.
Oh, pray for all of them.
Yes,
God help them all.
thank you, Christina.
But
I'll
you
be
know,
I'll be going live tomorrow, and it's going to be pertaining to a case out of Chicago, pertaining to an Uber driver that went to what he thought was a restaurant to pick up food, and it was somebody's apartment.
oh,
So the question is, do you think it's right or wrong for people to be cooking food and having people come pick up the food to take to other people's homes? We'll chop all that up tomorrow, but I thought that was an interesting topic.
yeah, that's
I was reading the comments, and some of the people felt like he was meddling in people's business, interfering with people trying to make a living. Then some people said it's a health violation issue. Then other people were saying, what difference does it make? Food can be contaminated, whether in a restaurant or in a house. But it was very interesting because I'd like to know, what did he post on the website as far as the name? Because the name is of an affluent restaurant that's in Chicago that's now closed. So I don't understand how people were ordering food from this place thinking it was a restaurant, because naturally it has an address. So you have to Google the address, and then you'd see that it's not a business, it's a house, it's an apartment complex. You understand?
wow. That'll be an interesting listen to.
Yeah, very, very.
But anyway, Queen, I will go for tonight. You take care
Okay.
and you stay blessed, and I'll
You too,
talk to
sweetie.
you next time.
Okay, sweetie. Thank you for joining me.
All right, love you.
Love you too, honey.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. All right, everybody. That's Christina. Thank you all for joining me. I'm going to check out of here, but that's the sad information coming out of Louisiana. Christina Perkins has now pled guilty to said charges, sex crimes against children. I brought you the said information in the beginning of this live. Feel free to go into the YouTube queue to check out the information. It's also on my community page. Her ex-husband is going to trial next this year, allegedly. So we'll wait to see what happens with him. But my concern mainly is of him. What other improprieties has this man done? Because if you're free to mess with people's children, film them, you're into child porn, your wife went along with you filming the children, putting your semen in the cupcakes, what else have you done? Have you broken the law as far as working cases and crimes in Louisiana? He had a high-ranking position in the law enforcement. So what else has he done? Because my thing is, if you're violating children, you've probably done other things as a cop. You've done other things. And I do believe one of those sheriff's officers, deputies, whomever, hid important information pertaining to this trial. It was said in the commentary that I brought you. The 2 hard drives were confiscated and are now missing from the evidentiary room. So that means somebody in the sheriff's department is a thief and aided this man. But yet what's crazy is he was let go, I believe, shortly after being arrested. So it was a waste of time you stealing the information, because you don't know what other evidence they have on these 2 people. And the wife is testifying. So to me, that's the best evidence you've got. She's telling you, yes, I did this, this, and this with my husband at the time. She's going to do 41 years. And she's 36. You can count. 77. When she possibly will come out of there. So who is going to risk doing that amount of time if it's a lie? So it doesn't matter that he's pleading not guilty. It doesn't matter if you stole, discarded those hard drives. The husband is guilty. He sexually assaulted the child. The child will now have to testify. God forbid more children come out. So you didn't think about that, did you? When you were rambling in the evidentiary room, stealing stuff pertinent to the case. See, God don't like ugly. And this case is indeed ugly and vile and disgusting. So the truth came out anyway. So it doesn't matter what you stole and tried to covet for your homeboy. Your homeboy lost his job and is now in jail awaiting trial for sex crimes of children. And his wife pled guilty to aiding him. So the deal is done. And that means you're sick and vile to cover up for your comrade because you thought you knew him. Well, you didn't know him. Then that means we also have to wonder what the hell is going on in the sheriff's department, police department. What have you all been doing? Nasty, underhanded. Did any of you know of his behavior with children? See, it keeps going on and on and on. The ball keeps rolling. You don't know where it stops. Because you don't know people. And this woman had children. And one of her own children told the court they were glad to be away from her and that she was manipulative and horrific. So imagine what it was like being a child of this bum. And what do her other children have to say? Where are they? And that's another thing. Who has custody of all these children? 3 children. Grandmother, aunties, uncles. Her family has the children. His family has the children. Did she even have children by this second husband? This deputy? This bum ass? And how many people are going to ride and say, they didn't do it? No, they didn't. Even though the woman pled guilty and apologized to her friends and family. Can you imagine the people who knew them, know them? Now they know the truth. These are 2 dirty bums that like to play with little kids. Pornography, filming kids eating semen-laced cupcakes. Imagine that conversation at the dinner table. Hey, how was your day? Not too good. My sister was arrested for filming her husband mess with a kid and putting semen in cupcakes to her own students. Imagine that. Imagine being the mother or father of a vile son or daughter that sexually violated children. Being the children of these vile human beings. Being a neighbor. God forbid they went to church. Oh, my goodness, shut up. What does the preacher have to say? What does the school board have to say about this vile-ass woman? Any improprieties beforehand? Has she been written up for any other misdeeds as a school teacher? How long was she teaching school? Any other sanctions against the lieutenant while he was working in law enforcement? Has he been written up for any other misdeeds with women, boys, girls, whomever? Who's going to tell the truth? Who's going to testify against him, his own co-workers? We know about the good old boy system in law enforcement. You keep your mouth closed, head down. Who's going to tell the truth? That they saw foul behavior from these 2 bats before they were arrested. Who's going to tell the truth? Besides the wife who's going to testify against her ex-husband in court. Have mercy. I want to thank you all for joining me. Thank the mods on deck. God bless all of you. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $BeGanji, 129 Cash App. Thank you all for the kind compliments. God bless all of you. Stay safe. It's a new week. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. When I get an update to this story, I will bring you the said information. Feel free to check my community board with the said information and videos in the queue. The husband is expecting Mr. Perkins to go to court later this year. I will bring you that said information when I get it. And I will also be bringing you a live later today pertaining to a Uber scenario that transpired in Chicago, Illinois. Thank you all so much for joining me, following the content. Like, share, subscribe. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you. You all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.